My name is Thomas Brush. I'm the creator of a game called Pinstripe. I'm also working on a game called Once Upon a Coma. I've been making games for about 10 years now, and I love what I do. It's the best job on earth, but I'd be lying if I told you that it wasn't difficult. Today was a particularly difficult day, and I just want to give you some reasons why game development may be a little bit harder than just making games all day. So first off, game development kind of feels silly, especially when you're first starting out making games. You feel like you might be wasting your time. So if you're ever talking to maybe some coworkers or some friends or family and you tell them what you've been spending your time on, it almost sounds like I've been playing games. Making games to a lot of people seems like you're just playing games. Truth is, you're playing games, but you're spending a lot more time writing code, building systems, testing things, and doing a lot of other business admin type stuff. So it's not as silly maybe as it's perceived. But I will say that even after my second game, like I'm on my second commercially viable game, we're about to release it, it still sometimes feels silly. Sometimes feels like you might be wasting your time. I know today I was I got to the office a little bit early today because I feel like I'm a little bit behind, and the sun was just coming up, and for some reason in the mornings I'm sort of beat down. I'm not in the best mood, and I did feel like I had a silly job. Sometimes I do feel like I need to go get a regular job, because right now, sometimes seasons are slower than other seasons. Sometimes seasons are really good. And when you're in a dry season, thinking about having a family, thinking about having a wife, thinking about having a daughter, and then realizing that your job is to make video games, to write. Like right now, I spend a lot of my time writing really silly dialogue for my characters, creating artwork that is interesting at best, and writing music, and it feels like a silly job sometimes. So that's the first reason why game development is, notoriously perceived as difficult. The second reason is you have to wear a million hats, and whether or not you want to make games solo, or whether you want to work with a team, you're still gonna have to wear 1,000 hats, just constantly doing new things that you didn't know you had to do or could do. For me, I'm doing accounting work. I'm working with my CPA, who, I just hired a CPA to help me with tax stuff. I'm writing the music, and I'm doing some development work. I usually do all of it, but thankfully I have a coder helping me now with Once Upon a Coma. And doing bug testing, and then managing, writing story elements, creating trailers, creating email blasts, social media, doing vlogs. Oh, it's like a ton of stuff to do, and I'm so grateful for all of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but I want to let you know, if you're interested in game development, or I want to encourage you, if you're doing game development, that it is normal. It is normal for you to feel overwhelmed. It's important for you to learn how to be happy in the transition, because you're always changing. It's always going to be changing. 1 hour you're going to be doing one thing, and you're going to think, okay, I'm going to code for 8 hours today and get XYZ done. And then in the next hour, you're spending your time on something like marketing that you did not plan on doing. So it's that's a stressful thing, because it's really hard to keep a schedule. It's really hard to hit deadlines, especially if you're like me, because I tend to be a little bit scatterbrained sometimes. So wearing all those millions of hats, if you don't learn to enjoy changing those hats on occasion, actually all the time, maybe don't be a game developer. If you're doing that right now and it stresses you out, I'd recommend trying to work on, honestly, changing the way that you think about your job, because you're gonna have to change your hat. Third reason is kind of like changing hats, but changing technologies. Things are always changing in the game industry, and it's incredibly frustrating. There's always a new news article about something that's happening. So currently it's all about Epic's game store. Recently it was Nintendo Switch, right? Getting on Nintendo Switch. And when it comes to just social media in general, there's always some new social media tricks and tools that you have to learn to engage with your audience and maintain your audience. Technologies are constantly changing. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse, these changing technologies. One side of the coin, it's amazing because anyone can make games because the technology is just rapidly advancing every single day. The other reason why it's a curse is you always have to have on that entrepreneur hat. And if you take off the entrepreneur hat for a day and then you put it back on, you're like, crap, I just missed a bunch of new stuff that came out. So it can be kind of discouraging to feel like, because I always feel like I don't fully feel like I'm always there with the new technologies. So obviously, if you make enough money as a studio, you can hire people to start wearing these hats. But especially starting out, it is going to be tough to wear all those hats and then also deal with the changing technology, being an entrepreneur while managing a company. So the fourth reason is the loneliness. Today was weird for me because I felt a little. I thought I was getting over the loneliness thing with game development. I thought I was like, okay, I'm done with that. I like what I do now. Today was weird. Got up in the morning and felt lonely, and I felt lonely up until now. I'm talking to a camera, and you think I'm talking to you, but I'm just talking to a camera in a basement. So I'm not complaining. Again, I have the best job on earth, but it can be lonely. It doesn't have to be lonely, right? And here are some solutions that, honestly, I need to convict myself here to pursue these solutions to this problem. But when you're trying so hard to finish a game or get content out there, you can forget that it's important to involve yourself in a community. So things like live streaming on Twitch or YouTube are incredibly important, or just hanging out with other live streamers, especially game developer live streamers. And being part of that community is really important. Going to local meetups or game jams is really important. Another thing you can do is just hang out on a Discord server. Have that always open and be willing to talk to people and get to know people. Not only is it important to pursue these communities for your loneliness, it's also important to pursue these communities for the first 3 points. You won't feel as silly because you're part of a community. You won't feel like you have all these hats because maybe you can find some people to help you out a little bit or at least encourage you. The third thing is changing technologies. I just sent a message to Tim Ruswick, who he has an incredible YouTube channel you should check out. I just messaged him. I messaged Jim Sterling today, and some other YouTubers and game developers to ask them about certain technologies, because I can't do it alone. I can't change with the technology alone. So don't let loneliness be just a wound you have to deal with, right? It is not something you should be proud of. Rather, in indie game development, you should pursue not being lonely. There are plenty of solutions. So I can't complain and whine right now about being lonely if I'm not pursuing it first. So that's really that's number 4, but it's also, kind of convicting for me. The fifth thing is, it's kind of weird. You're always, and I think I heard this in another video, you're always getting better as a game developer. You're always getting better, which means that you're always hating your work. So yesterday's work is not going to be as good as today's work. Therefore, you're going to be likely to quit your project because you're always thinking about how it could be better. Like yesterday's work could be as good as today's because now my eye's a little bit different. I'm more in tune with maybe how music should sound or how my game should feel. So you're always getting better, and that's always causing you to hate the work you worked on the day before. Now, if you're working on like a 3-year project, you're certainly going to hate the work you did a year before or even a year before that. So it takes a lot of humility to push through. So I would highly recommend being humble. Recognize that you're never going to be happy with your work. You're never going to be happy with what you did a year ago, but to finish it. It's not about, you shouldn't be proud and try to be a perfectionist to prove a point or to prove that you're an amazing artist. Just get it done, push it out. People don't care. They really don't care. They don't actually know. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you feel like there's something you need to tweak in your game, especially something visual or maybe with the music, people don't see that. Most people, they don't see that. So anyway, those are my 5 reasons why game development is notoriously considered a difficult thing to do, a difficult job and career path. My name is Thomas Brush. I make games for a living. I love what I do. If you want to support this channel, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell to get notified of daily videos. I'm going to try to post daily if I can. About indie game development. I want to hold your hand as you're making indie games, and hopefully you'll hold mine. Head on over to Patreon if you want to support this channel and see your name in the next video. I'll talk to you later. See you guys. Bye.